Welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I'm the founder of Food Truck Training Group on Facebook, co-owner with my beautiful wife, Melissa, of our own food truck. It's called Food Truck 101, and I am the executive director of the National Street Food Vendors Association, which is a nonprofit dedicated to education, advocacy, and uplifting all food vendors. Today I'm talking about cost controls and cost control habits that are going to make you more efficient than other food truck owners. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys about the Food Truck Owners Expo that's going to be held in Orlando, Florida this year, November 12th and 13th. I'm going to be there giving a couple of classes, as well as participating in the Campfire Networking Lounge, where you guys can sit down and listen to the topic we have at hand for that segment, or you can ask me any kind of questions that you have about the food truck industry. So if you would like to attend the Food Truck Owners Expo in Orlando, it's going to be amazing. We just wrapped up Houston and it was awesome. And Orlando is going to be even a little bit bigger. If you want to buy those tickets, go to ftoexpo.com, place your order for those tickets today, and when you do, put in the code FTTG15 for a 15% discount. Now, before we get into the topic at hand, I want to thank Table Needs for sponsoring this episode of the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. Table Needs is a full-service POS system capable of handling your busy food truck, cash, credit card, and reporting needs. Check out the link in the description for more information about Table Needs. So let's talk about tiny cost control habits that are going to make you more efficient than the other food trucks. And these may be a little painful, and I'm going to give you some action steps to do too, so you got some homework. So here we go. First one is track your inventory regularly. Keep your eyes on your inventory. It's crucial because it's cost, and you want to be able to control that cost. Regularly tracking your inventory helps avoid over-ordering. It helps reduce waste. It ensures that you have the right amount of stock to meet the demand. You use a spreadsheet. On our Facebook group, we have a download in the file section. Helps you with food cost control. On the association's website, we have a spreadsheet to help you with cost control. It's all about inventory and understanding how much money you got going out of the business, how much money you got coming in, and what income the inventory should generate. So here's your action step. Select a specific time each week. You're going to count and record your inventory, and you want to compare that inventory usage to what your theoretical usage is on your POS system. So if the POS system says you should have sold 100 pounds of hamburger meat, and you do the inventory and realize you sold 110 pounds of hamburger meat or used 110 pounds of hamburger meat, you got a problem. You're off 10 pounds. That's a whole bunch of money to be missing. But if you don't take that inventory and do that cost comparison between the actual usage on your inventory and the theoretical usage of your POS system, you wouldn't know that you were missing $30. You want to standardize portion sizes. This should go without saying, but you would be surprised how many people I'll talk to them about their recipes and they don't know how much of a certain product they're putting on their menu. So for example, a hamburger, how much lettuce, how much tomatoes, how much ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, onion, pickle are you putting on a sandwich? And when they say, well, it depends. Well, depends is for people that can't control their bowel movements when you're old. You don't want to be depends. You want to know exactly how much goes on each one. You want to know what that standard is for that portion size. So standardize your portions so that every sandwich is made the exact same way and it goes out with the exact same appearance and flavor profile. So the action step for this is to create portion control guidelines and job aids to help people know what the portion's supposed to be, what the portion should look like, and then provide the measuring tools to help them accomplish whatever those portion sizes are, like ladles and scoops and spatulas, and explain what it should look like. If you're using squeeze bottles, what's the bead size, and then how many circles or how many zigzags or how many lines should go on a sandwich. It's not what they feel, it's what you want, because you want every sandwich, again, to be consistent. You want to buy in bulk when possible. Now, it's difficult for a single food truck to buy in bulk, but if you got 2 or 3 partner food trucks around you, you guys use these same products or similar products, combine your buying power and get those things at a discount. There's a number of food trucks that are south of Chicago. They get together once a week and they drive to Chicago and buy a big bulk of meat and get a discount because they buy several hundred pounds of meat to stock a few dozen food trucks. And the savings is so significant, they don't mind driving up there. So don't be afraid to combine with your competing food trucks so you guys can get better deals. You got to build those relationships not only with the other food trucks but with the suppliers as well. You might be busy enough on your own to get a little bit of a discount. If you can tell somebody, hey, I'm going to be ordering 100 pounds of meat from you every single week for the next year, that may be enough to entice them to give you a 10 or 20 cent break per pound. We get a break on our hamburger meat just because Melissa asked, and we by no means sell enough hamburger meat for anybody to care volume-wise, but because she asked, she's gotten a discount. And all she has to do is say, I'm the food truck lady, can you get me together 6 or 10 or 12 pounds of hamburger meat? And they do at a discounted rate, all because she asked. So don't be afraid to ask. So your action step is to review your inventory and identify things you can buy in bulk, and then to look at your friendly competition from other food trucks and see how you guys can combine to get yourselves better deals. And then compare prices from different suppliers if you need to. And don't be afraid to pit one against the other. Well, they told me they give me this particular meat cut for $7.99 a pound. Can you match that? Or do I need to go shop there? You want to monitor food waste. Another one of those things that people just don't do. They drop a bun, they burn a bun, they just throw it in the trash and don't give it a second thought. You have to control that by monitoring it. When you start to add up all the different ways that you waste food and put a dollar amount to it, you get a little bit more serious about monitoring your waste. Because remember, if it goes in the trash can, it's not profit. It is a loss. You want to track and analyze the amount of food waste that's generated daily. And what can you do to reduce those numbers? Is there a way for you to repurpose a leftover? For example, at Wendy's, they take the hamburger meat that has been cooked and doesn't sell, they turn it into chili. We do the same thing with the hamburgers that we sell. We don't sell chili, but we do make a chili sauce for hot dogs. That way it allows us to anticipate cook a little bit, knowing that, well, if we don't sell these, we're going to be turning them into hot dog meat for the hot dogs, or hot dog chili. So your action step is to set up a waste log where you and your staff can record what's being thrown away and why. And then every week, I want you to take those numbers and put a dollar amount to it. What does it cost you? Not what is its retail cost when you sell it. So if you have a hamburger bun, it costs 37 cents and you threw away 10 of them, that means you have wasted $3.70. You need to know that number. So when you start to add it up, it gets a little bit embarrassing how high that number can get sometimes. You want to optimize your menu, which means you want to streamline it, which leads to better cost control. Focus on a few core items that are popular and profitable, and then they have multiple use ingredients. So if you sell burgers and you put mustard on 6 of them, then mustard's being used six different products. That's great. You don't want to have a specialty product that's only used on one application, because now you got that pan sitting there the most of the day is not being used. Try to cross-utilize all your ingredients as much as possible. This helps to reduce waste, but it also simplifies your inventory management, and it definitely simplifies the operational efficiency of your kitchen, or the people producing your food. So the action step is to analyze your sales data. Again, you got to have a POS system capable of doing that. You want to identify those top performing items and then consider removing the ones that underperform, especially if they have multiple ingredients that just sit there and only get used occasionally. Here's one that a lot of food truck owners don't ever do, and that's maintain your equipment. Every piece of equipment on your food truck has got some type of maintenance schedule. Look at the owner's manual and see what that maintenance schedule is so you can keep the pieces of equipment operating at its optimum capacity. Too many people allow buildup on griddles or in their fryers and then wonder why they're using more propane to accomplish the exact same cooking temperature. Caramelization is just carbon buildup, and carbon's an insulator. So your griddle, the one that you bought and you seasoned it like it was a piece of cast iron, you've actually insulated it. So now it's going to take more and more propane to achieve the exact same temperature. Carbon flakes off. Carbon does not taste good. Carbon is burnt organic material on top of metal. So get rid of that thought process that it has to be seasoned so it doesn't stick. A griddle should look brand spanking new every single day when you open. You put a little tiny bit of oil on it to give it that little bit of seasoning it needs, and then throughout the day you're cleaning it. You're taking it back to the bare metal. And at the end of the night, it should be brand spanking new as far as visually what it looks like. If there's brown buildup, if there's black buildup, get it off there because you have a dirty griddle. Modern stainless steel griddles do not need to be seasoned. You're going to lightly coat them with oil so they don't stick, but they should not have any kind of buildup on them. And there's all other kinds of machineries that you use to cook food. They all have a maintenance schedule. You need to follow it. If it has moving parts, it's going to need to be oiled. Parts are going to need to be changed out. You have to maintain the equipment, because if you don't, it's going to end up costing you money, either in the food that you're selling because it takes longer to cook, or it doesn't cook as well, or the piece of equipment just breaks down. So you want to create a maintenance schedule. This is your homework. A maintenance schedule checklist to make sure that things are getting done like they're supposed to be done according to the manufacturer's specifications. If you bought your trailer used or your truck used, look up the equipment online. You'll find out what the owner's manual says and then add that to your calendar. You want to train your staff on cost control. They need to understand that when they drop a bun in the floor that's 37 cents or 58 cents or whatever it costs you for that bun, every piece of food on your shelving, in your refrigerator, in your freezer is $1 or a bunch of dollars. The staff needs to look at that the same way. Whenever I drop money on the floor, I'll bend over and pick it up. I don't sweep it up and throw it away. So when they drop something on the floor, which makes it now be a wasted product, they need to associate that with money. How would you feel like if we dropped 2 buns, I take $1 away from your wages? They've got to understand. You got to teach them. So your homework is to conduct regular training sessions that focus on cost control practices and encourage your staff to share their ideas, because believe me, they'll have ideas on how we can reduce waste. I hired a guy when I worked at Burger King, and at that point I'd been in the food service industry over 30 years. The guy comes in, he has a couple of ideas that I never thought of. In 30 years of doing this, never thought of. And the guy comes in and has a couple of really, really good ideas. So don't be afraid to ask your staff for their ideas, because they have a different perspective than you, and sometimes their perspective is going to be better because we get blind to doing things because we've been doing it the same way over and over and over. Don't be afraid to ask for their input. Analyze and adjust your prices regularly. If you're doing my food cost control spreadsheet, you should be updating all your ingredients every time you go shopping. And when the price of the ingredients change, the spreadsheet will highlight, hey, this particular product is now exceeding what you established as your food cost goal. And now you get a choice to make as a business owner. Do you accept that price increase and just eat the cost, which means your profitability is going down? Do you raise the menu price to adjust for that loss in profitability? Or do you find an alternative ingredient that doesn't cost as much? But you have to make those decisions. If you don't make the decision, it's effectively being made for you. And that means you've eaten the cost. And if you've eaten the cost, you do that long enough and you'll find you're not profitable. When COVID happened, there were so many people on our Facebook group and in the other Facebook groups going, when should I raise prices? You raise prices when your ingredient cost goes up and it gets out of your goals for your food cost. And that was long before COVID. Every single week, you should be looking at those prices and making those adjustments as necessary. Yes, you'll get pushback, but guess what? It's a lot better to get a little bit of pushback than it is for you just to go out of business because you didn't keep up with your own costs. If you guys will just do these things I've been talking about today, it's going to help your operations, you're going to increase your efficiency, and you're going to boost profitability. Managing costs effectively, it's essential, and I cannot stress that enough. It's essential, and you got to do it every single day. You got to have that bottom line, and it's got to be healthy. It's got to be a positive bottom line. But you don't get a positive bottom line by ignoring the things we've been talking about today. Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. Please take a moment to follow our podcast, and if you really like what we do, support us. There's links in the description to make that happen. Every little bit does help keep us going. Until next time, you guys have a profitable day.